Hello and welcome to day 19. Today we're talking about the rude tongue on day 19 of our 30-day tongue fast.
Yes.
You know, I don't know if I was to ask people today to define rude, if they'd be able to do it. Because it seems that rude has become so normative in our culture.
It has.
In our connected, disconnected world of texting and Facebook and Instagram, it seems that people just say whatever they want and they really don't care about how it affects the person that they're saying it to.
That's about the size of it.
You know, the definition of rude is discourteous or impolite, especially in a deliberate way. It means without culture, learning, or refinement. It's just being inconsiderate. So, babe, I got a question.
Yes.
Do you think that this is because of a sense of entitlement?
Well, when I hear the word entitlement, it's typically being used to define a generation of people, like the millennial generation or whatever is the next one. So, however, when it comes to rudeness, I just believe that it stems from selfishness.
That's true.
And that's not limited to a generation,
No,
right?
it's not.
I just think that's indicative of the age in which we live
Yes, it
in.
is.
And so at times, people can behave rudely. I think I listed some things when things are bothering them or their rudeness might be a cry for help, right? And they just don't know how to articulate that. And they're just searching for an empathetic ear. However, regardless of the situation, I just think there's just no excuse for just being rude. There just isn't.
No.
And so the question is, I guess it would be like, we've discussed it, but what about you? Have you engaged in behavior that is considered rude?
Right.
Say, for instance, we have like a little tiny list of rude behaviors. One of my huge pet peeves is cashiers refusing to say hello when you walk up to the register, and they continue on with their conversations with their co-workers. Or when people walk into a room and they do not greet or speak, especially if they're coming into someone's house or they're just entering into a room and they've been there for a minute and, you know, it's like you're nothing there. Or the flip of that is if you have someone new that's coming to your church or into a social gathering and no one broaches that person, I think that's rude.
Yes.
You know, texting and looking at cell phones in the middle of conversations,
I've been guilty
no
of
one does that. Using foul language in public.
I'm not guilty of that.
Yeah, especially in public. I got my kids. I just don't want to hear all that, you know. Reaching across someone to pick something up.
What was that?
Or changing the subject while in the middle of talking. No one's rude here. No one. Or let's say, do you have a habit of starting a side conversation in the middle of a social group? Rude. Or is it failing to speak to someone in the hallways of work or church? That's a big one.
Those are all good ones.
They know they see you.
Those are good.
So if you have, wait a minute. If you have any comments, you know, like any ideas of what rudeness is or what you have experienced, leave them below in the comments.
That'd be great. Yeah, and as we're thinking about this, just how rude our culture has become, it makes me, you know, wonder whatever happened to the golden rule when Jesus said, do unto others as you want to have them do unto you. I mean, Philippians 2:3-4 says, let nothing be done through selfish ambition or conceit, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem others better than himself.
Yes.
Let each of you look not only for your own interest, but also for the interests of others. And then if you look at those same verses in the Message, it says if you've gotten anything at all out of following Christ, if his love has made any difference in your life, if being in a community of the Spirit means anything to you, if you have a heart, if you care, put yourself aside. Help others get ahead. Don't be obsessed with getting your own advantage. Forget yourselves long enough to lend a helping hand.
Yes.
But what if we actually process the things that we're about to say through that lens of thinking about how what I'm going to say will affect the person I'm saying it to?
Yeah.
You know, I don't think we would speak nearly as rudely as we do.
No.
If we really would first think about the other person. In 1 Corinthians 13, it says, love is patient. Love is not rude.
Yes.
And it does not demand its own way. So shouldn't our love for God and our desire to represent Him well on this earth, should that not come out in the things that we say?
It should. So we have reached the point of this in calling our reflecting points. And I really liked how Deborah Smith Begay says that rude people act in a manner either because they think it is okay or they feel that they can get away with it. While most of us may feel rightfully insulted at being subjected in such rude acts, that people have a tendency to do, we still as believers should practice how to confront people in godly ways,
yes.
right? And so otherwise our silence may only reinforce their behavior, and we just don't want that. We don't need a world full of rude people.
No, we don't.
We must confront their rudeness in a very direct but non-offensive manner.
Yeah.
Pray, I think by praying and asking the Holy Spirit to give you insight as to whether or not you should broach the subject, that's a good start. And then wait to see what He says on that. And then there are times where you just don't feel compelled to say something, especially when the Holy Spirit says keep silent, right? Because certain things you just need to let alone, like let sleeping dogs lie. And another idea is to respond and not to react.
Yes.
Reactions are knee-jerk reflexes that never bring about positive outcomes.
Never.
Especially with us. I know that I have a tendency sometimes. I've been working on that to not react. Responses are about taking time to pray and ask the Holy Spirit to give you the right thing to say that will honor both God and the other person. And the second part of this is, has anyone ever accused you of being rude? Okay, and if so, what was it about you that made them think that way? You know what I mean? And how would you have responded to someone who did the same thing or said the same thing to you? So we would encourage you to go back through the list that we previously talked about and that we mentioned.
Yes.
And in the comments section below, if you could, I think it would be helpful, like to just share godly ways in which you have dealt with rude people.
That's good, babe.
Yeah.
And there's a few scriptures we'd love you to reflect on. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, 4-8. Proverbs 30, 32-33. Look at that in the New King James, but you might want to consider looking at it in the Message as well. It gives a whole different perspective. And Philippians 2, 1-11. And so as we tell you, remember the Holy Spirit is the author of the Bible. Invite Him into the process. Ask Him to open your eyes so you can see, open your ears so you can hear, open your heart so you can receive everything that He wants you to hear and receive and put into practice today.
Yeah, and if this video has been a blessing to you, let us know about it. And as we said earlier, any rude acts or that are pet peeves of yours or ways in which you have dealt with rude people, we really would love to hear about that.
That'd be awesome. And as we always remind you, you have the power of life and death in your tongue.
Yes.
Speak life.
Amen.
Over you, over everyone that you meet. And remember, it doesn't really matter what you think. Doesn't matter what we think. It matters what God says.
Yes.
So get grounded in His Word and empowered by His Spirit. Hear, listen, and obey the words of Jesus no matter the cost. Have an incredible day. We love you. God bless you.
So long.